Recording in progress.
Good morning. Welcome to the panel. Today I'm going to be your co-host, your technical support. My name is Andy Garcia.
Hello, Garcia.
Hello,
Garcia. I'm Dingping. Hello.
Welcome to the panel. My name is Andy Garcia, and I'm going to be your technical support in this panel.
Hello, Garcia. Can you hear me?
yes, I can. My
I'm
name is
going to ask you some questions. I'm going to ask if the panel chairs are already here.
Yeah, please ask Professor Philippe Régnier to join us.
Yes.
So please invite him to join us in this young session room. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
I watched him in the big room.
Okay. Thank you. Good morning. Is Professor Philippe Régnier here?
I saw Professor Philippe Régnier online, and okay, that's good. Hi, hello, Philippe. Hi, hello. Hi, hello, Philippe. Professor Philippe Régnier.
Dingping.
Ah, very good. Sorry.
Where are you?
Can you see my picture?
Can you hear me?
Yes, very good.
I can hear you.
Can you see my picture?
Yes, I can. Can you see me?
Yes, very good. Thank you so much. So
Where are you? You are at Fudan Tashui?
Yes, I'm very happy to see you again.
Excellent.
Excellent. That's good. Yeah. So
I see one of our contributors' jerseys is already there.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes, I'm here.
Now,
Alice is joining. Hello, Alice. Can you hear us?
Hi, of course.
oh, good.
Okay,
Good.
you are the second presenter. And we
One
are-
more presenter is
Yes, we have
Jerzy Bensky from Poland.
from UN Habitat in Burkina Faso.
Yeah. So how about the scholars from Burkina Faso? Luz Stephanie.
Not here yet.
Did you find him in the big room? No. Technical support, Garcia.
Yes,
So
here I
did you-
see.
Yeah, did you find the scholars from Burkina Faso in the big room?
No, I didn't find him,
Oh,
but here I see Alice
yeah.
Noon.
Yes.
Sorry for the pronunciation.
We are still missing the
And,
first contributor, Wedrago and Abdullahi
Yeah.
from UN Habitat in Ouagadougou.
Yes, we don't think they're going to be present today,
Okay.
but we have their pre-recording. So today we have 2 pre-recordings and we have 1 live presentation from Jerzy Bensky. Sorry for the pronunciation.
Oh, that's good.
And thank you. Yeah.
So-
If you want me to
Do
play,
you know how long
if
are
you-
each of the pre-recorded presentations?
yes, each of the pre-recordings are less than 15 minutes.
Okay.
And the live presentation must be between 10 and 12 minutes.
Okay,
Yes. If you want me to start to playing the pre-recordings, you can tell me and I will be here for you.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Is it okay for you, Jerzy?
Yes, yes. I need 10 minutes, not more.
Excellent.
Okay,
So, Jingjing, should we start?
yeah. I think
we try to
uh,
have 10-15 minutes at the end for an overall discussion,
yes.
if we
Oh,
can.
that's good. Yeah.
Okay, so please, dear colleague, if you could run the first presentation on integrated approaches for tackling rapid urban growth in Burkina Faso. That would be great.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna ask you, do you see the video?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
full screen.
Okay, and if you don't hear anything, please let me know so that I can help you.
Excellent, thank you so much.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Audio video is fine.
Okay, thank you.
Bonsoir à tout le monde. Et nous allons nous entretenir avec vous sur la problématique de l'urbanisation rapide du fait des déplacements des populations dans le cas du Burkina Faso. À
If you
travers
can increase
nos approches qui sont
volume,
des
it
approches
would be
intégrées
great.
pour faire face à la croissance urbaine rapide dans les villes du Burkina Faso. Moi, c'est Yombi Wedraogo, chargé de programme ONU Habitat, bureau du Burkina Faso.
Sorry, if you don't hear any well, you can try to increase the volume on your computer. And if
Okay.
it doesn't work, you let me know. Thank you.
No problem.
Yes.
Pour le compte du bureau régional pour l'Afrique. Le Burkina Faso, c'est un pays enclavé, un pays de l'Afrique de l'Ouest, avec 274 000 km² et 274 000 km² situé dans l'espace UEMOA et qui 274 000 km², comme je le disais, qui est situé en Afrique de l'Ouest appartenant à l'État, à l'organisation, c'est la CEDEAO et aussi de l'UEMOA. Le Burkina Faso se distingue aussi à travers, en termes d'armature urbaine, il y a des grandes villes nous avons une armature urbaine qui se singularise par 2 grandes métropoles qui se dégagent et des villes moyennes telles que les villes capitales comme Koudougou, Waibia, Kaya, Dori, Tougouri et Fadagourma, Tenkodogo, qui sont des villes capitales régionales, mais qui sont des villes de moyenne importance en termes d'armature urbaine au niveau du Burkina. Mais singulièrement, la ville de Ouagadougou, qui est la première grande métropole urbaine, est passée de 50 000 habitants à plus de 3 millions d'habitants aujourd'hui, mais des habitants qui sont étalés sur une superficie qui est aujourd'hui non maîtrisée par les autorités municipales et qui déborde au-delà de ses limites administratives. En 50 ans, on est passé donc de 50 000 habitants à 3 millions d'habitants à l'échelle de cette ville. Donc cet étalement urbain qui s'est caractérisé beaucoup plus par l'étalement de l'habitat spontané a fait en sorte que la ville de Ouagadougou aujourd'hui a une faible densité et du fait que nous n'avons pas eu de constructions en hauteur, mais c'est des constructions pavillonnaires où chaque habitant désire avoir son lopin de terre et les programmes de logement n'ayant pas été à la hauteur des défis et à la hauteur des problématiques actuelles, ont favorisé l'étalement urbain à travers même non seulement l'habitat spontané, mais aussi à travers l'aménagement des communes, mais qui étaient des aménagements non suivis de viabilisation, pas des services d'accès à l'eau potable, ni à l'électricité, encore moins de voiries bien aménagées. Mais le contraire des périphériques urbaines de la ville de Ouagadougou, au niveau du centre urbain, on a une zone qui est mieux planifiée avec un noyau urbain qui a été mieux pensé et qui a permis de rehausser le paysage urbain du centre-ville, qui est bien planifié à travers des projets structurants qui avaient été mis en place depuis la période révolutionnaire jusqu'à dans les années 2002, qui ont été caractérisés par le projet ZACA, qui veut dire zone d'activité administrative et commerciale, qui ont permis de rehausser et de lutter contre l'insalubrité au centre-ville et de créer un noyau urbain beaucoup plus, un cœur de ville qui répond aux aspirations de la modernité et qui permettent que le noyau urbain soit beaucoup plus attractif, beaucoup plus adapté aux activités commerciales et administratives. Mais à côté de la zone planifiée, il y a forcément ce qu'on appelle ce que nous appelons dans le jargon burkinabé les zones non loties qui caractérisent l'habitat précaire, l'habitat informel qui côtoie l'habitat structuré, la zone structurée qui est la zone qui se trouve être des zones qui ont déjà fait l'objet d'aménagements, même si c'est des aménagements qui ne sont pas bien structurés en termes d'accès aux services sociaux de base, mais il y a des trames urbaines qui existent. Mais en marge de ça, on a la lisière entre les zones structurées et les zones non structurées qui sont caractérisées par l'habitat, la prolifération des logements précaires, l'insécurité d'occupation foncière et l'inaccessibilité aux services sociaux de base dans ces zones-là. En même temps, c'est une ville aussi qui est exposée au risque d'inondation, notamment dans ces quartiers périphériques qui sont caractérisés par l'habitat informel, parce que c'est les matériaux précaires qui sont utilisés pour la construction. Et aussi, la forte exposition est due aussi au fait que les canaux d'évacuation des eaux pluviales que nous avons dans la ville de Ouagadougou et même qui existent aussi peut-être dans certaines petites villes comme Ouaga et puis Koudougou ou même de Waibia, sont des infrastructures qui sont pas fonctionnelles parce que souvent l'incivisme fait de telle sorte que souvent ce sont des ouvrages qui sont désuets du fait que c'est des infrastructures qui subissent aussi par exemple dans lesquelles on déverse les déchets. Et singulièrement la ville de Ouagadougou, nous avons par exemple l'exécutoire qui souvent ne fonctionne pas à temps plein, de telle sorte que quand il y a des grandes crues, il y a un flux d'eau dans la ville. Donc, aujourd'hui, nous avons, comme je l'ai dit tantôt, à partir de 1980 à 2015, nous sommes passés d'un nombre réduit de villes à plusieurs villes. Aujourd'hui, nous pouvons dire qu'en 2015, si nous assimilons par exemple les villes aux communes que nous pouvons dire que nous avons 49 communes urbaines qui peut être aux yeux du code général des collectivités territoriales considérées comme étant des villes. Mais du point de vue de la politique urbaine, de la définition de la politique urbaine nationale, la ville est définie comme étant le noyau urbain continu où il y a l'accès aux services sociaux de base, etc. Et si on fait une déduction, on se rend compte qu'à l'intérieur des communes rurales même, nous avons des villes. Et quand on prend l'échelle du Grand Ouaga, nous avons des communes rurales qui entourent la ville de Ouagadougou, mais qui n'ont de rural que de nom parce que vous avez des noyaux urbains bien densifiés qui sont à l'intérieur. Donc, nous sommes passés d'environ une dizaine de villes à près de 49 villes avec une stratification, une armature urbaine qui est déclinée en ville métropole, en ville moyenne et en petite ville. Donc, ce sont ces villes-là qui aujourd'hui qui font l'objet d'accueil des populations déplacées pour des opportunités d'emploi, opportunités de sécurité. Donc, aujourd'hui, la problématique qui se pose là, c'est qu'est-ce qu'il faut faire pour que l'urbanisation ait un impact positif? Qu'est-ce qu'il faut faire pour que l'urbanisation soit bénéfique pour les populations ou quel est le potentiel positif qu'il faut tirer de l'urbanisation? Le potentiel qu'il faut tirer de l'urbanisation pour les États et singulièrement pour le Burkina, c'est de pouvoir d'abord, repenser l'urbanisation à travers une bonne approche, une approche intégrée qui fait en sorte que on s'inscrit dans la durabilité à travers des approches et à travers aussi une vision territoriale beaucoup plus équilibrée, de telle sorte qu'on arrive à construire une armature urbaine qui fait en sorte qu'aujourd'hui, on ne se retrouve pas dans cette mégalomane où on a les villes, on a deux villes qui se dégagent de l'eau et le reste des villes là, c'est véritablement des villes qui n'ont que de nom. Mais en termes de services urbains, c'est des villes souvent qui laissent à désirer. Donc, pour que l'urbanisation soit bénéfique à nos États, et même singulièrement au Burkina Faso, c'est de pouvoir avoir une bonne approche de durabilité de l'urbanisation et avoir une approche territoriale intégrée. C'est ça qui permettrait qu'on puisse avoir une urbanisation qui soit bénéfique aux populations et qui permette qu'aujourd'hui les villes jouent leur rôle. Comme on le dit, la ville doit être le centre de création de richesses, des opportunités et d'emploi pour les jeunes, pour les populations citadines, et de faire en sorte que ce soit des villes qui absorbent véritablement le potentiel agricole qui soit produit un peu dans les zones agricoles. Et donc, c'est de faire en sorte qu'on arrive à atteindre non seulement les objectifs de développement de l'ODD 11, surtout dans ces différentes cibles, mais également aussi que ça participe aussi à la mise en œuvre du nouvel agenda urbain qui a été adopté par les États membres en 2016 pour les 20 prochaines années. Donc, dans ce sens, ONU Habitat plaide pour des approches beaucoup plus intégrées, pour une urbanisation durable, à la fois qui est transversale, mais également d'imaginer une gouvernance à plusieurs niveaux. Le niveau local, le niveau national et aussi le niveau associatif où il y a la dimension inclusive et participative pour rechercher des solutions sur des mesures pour des contextes qui soient beaucoup plus au niveau local et aussi pour une mise en œuvre beaucoup plus facilitée. Quelles sont les solutions, par exemple, à une urbanisation croissante rapide? C'est d'utiliser, par exemple, des approches basées sur la zone en améliorant l'environnement urbain de toutes les personnes dans les zones et favoriser, par exemple, un accès accru aux services urbains pour tous par le renforcement de la confiance dans les autorités, c'est-à-dire établir un contrat social où il y a le rapport de confiance entre les autorités et les administrés. Il y a également aussi de mieux planifier au-delà des frontières administratives. Penser au-delà des limites administratives d'une commune, c'est aux yeux, par exemple, si on raisonne par exemple à l'échelle de la ville, nous sommes dans une logique de métropolisation, mais à l'échelle des communes, nous pouvons, par exemple, autre que la métropole, nous pouvons être dans une logique d'intercommunalité. C'est planifier ici la croissance urbaine, sociale, économique et environnementale pour une société plus inclusive et un cadre de vie plus sain. Et également aussi, on peut être dans une logique où on va véritablement voir comment on fait en sorte que les populations puissent bénéficier de tous ces impacts-là et faire en sorte que, par exemple, l'urbanisation soit durable et inclusive au bénéfice de toutes les populations dans les villes, dans les campagnes et dans les métropoles. Merci bien pour votre attention.
So, okay, that's good. Now we move to the next presentation. Is this recording?
Yes, now it is a pre-recording from Alice Noon from University Eduardo Mondlane. Excuse me for the pronunciation. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Alice Zuanunis. I'm from Mozambique. I'm from Geography Department of University Eduardo Mondlane. And I'm here today to speak about the integrated context analysis of the vulnerability in Pemba seat. Why study about the vulnerability of some of urban seat? Because many of seat suffer from the vulnerability associated with different kind of factor, like lack of food, lack of efficient sanitation, difficult access to the basic health service, education, and transport. And this kind of factor integrated can increase the vulnerability of the seat, resulting in a great pressure of the few services that is available in those areas. Why seat of Pemba? Because seat of Pemba, since 2017, there in the province of Cabo Delgado, that the Pemba seat is located, there was some district that has military instability. So this year, since March 2021, Pemba received more than 11,000 of people coming from those districts there for security. The question is, where all these people can be allocated without increasing the vulnerability of the people that already live in this area? So Pemba has the economic, social, and physical capacity to allocate all these people. So this was kind of question that is the motivate to this type of the study. The objective of this article is to show the integrated analysis of this factor, both socioeconomic and physical factor, to help to determine the vulnerability of neighborhoods in the city of Pemba in order to identify the most vulnerable neighborhoods and bring the attention to the authority to the right intervention in the right time. Where is Pemba seat in Mozambique? First, Mozambique is located in south part of Africa. Pemba is located in north part of Mozambique in Cabo Delgado province. Some data about Pemba, seat of Pemba, we have more than 11 people per square kilometers, the density of the population. We have 12 neighborhoods in Pemba seat. Most of people that live in the Pemba, they live in a precarious house covered by coconut leaves. Some of the economic activity of the Pemba city is fishing, agriculture, and tourism. And they have these two neighborhoods, Pakitekete and Kariako, that they have several problems of the land use planning, as the study of 2014 shows. About the type of the house of the people, we can see here that this kind of house that we saw, of course, can difficult some access to the transport that can be used inside of this area. And also when it's rain, they can aggravate the problem of the people who live also in this area. This is the example of the type of the house from the neighborhood named Pakitekete. About the data and the methodology. So was used secondary data for GIS analysis. Is this data was coming from Statistical Institute of Mozambique, Some of them came from Sentinel image about the land use and cover, and the other one came from the landslide data, and the other one came from the open data. So what was the step of this analysis? First was the mapping of socioeconomic data by neighborhoods, the number of school, the number of hospital, the number of bank institution distributed on this area using the natural blocks, and then 3 types of the classification: low, medium, and high for each variable. And second was the mapping of the occurrence of the landslide by neighborhoods and classification, also using the natural blocks. And finally, mapping of the multidimensional poverty using the threshold of 6%. That means that for the multidimensional poverty, we use more than seven type of the factor. So if some people have the privation of 60% of this factor, these people is considered multidimensional poverty. So the threshold was 60%, and then we use the natural blocks and the same classification: low, medium, and high. So what the results show? The results show about the distribution of the education, that this neighborhood located in the north part of the Pemba, they have main infrastructure education if we compare to the one that is located in the south part of neighborhood. What about the health infrastructure? It means that also we have main health infrastructure located in this neighborhood that is called Cimento if we compare it to the other one that is located in the center of Pemba. It means that we have low here and we have a high here. So many people that live in these other neighborhoods need to go to this neighborhood to have access to this service. And what about the bank institution available in the Pemba City? Many of them is also concentrated in Cimento neighborhood and then in Cariaco and Alto Ticone. And the other one, we have less concentrated of this kind of service. So we combine it together, these 3 kind of the factor, and the result was this map that is calling access to the service. So this resume these 3 factors that in general, if we use education, health facility, and bank institution distribution in the Pemba City, we have Cimento neighborhood with the one with the high concentration with this kind of service, and the other one, Mahati, Shub, Eduardo Mondlane, Mariganya, with the low concentration of this kind of the service. And then, in the other hand, I did the analysis of multidimensional poverty, and we can see on the map that the neighborhood located in the south part of Pemba, they have a very high multidimensional poverty if we compare to the other that is located in the north. And about the landslide, also we have a Mushara in the Shuiba, the one with the high probability of the occurrence of landslide in Pemba City. And combine it, these 2 factors, we have this kind of result. If landslide is 1 and multidimensional poverty is 1, we call this area 5. Landslide 1, multidimensional poverty 2, we call area B. Landslide 2, multidimensional poverty 2, we call area 2B. And by the end, landslide 3 and multidimensional 3, we call this area 1B, as we can see in this map. And then we combined also this area in category that we have here, the final result about the combining data. And this data shows us that this neighborhood located in the south part of Pemba, they are in category 1. And some of them located in the center is part of category 2 and category 3. And this one located in northeast is in category 5. So what that mean? That means that the neighborhood located in category 1, they have persistent multidimensional poverty, and the natural shocks suggest that the population is vulnerable all the time. In category 2, they have intermittent multidimensional poverty patterns may relate to the other hazards. So the people who live in this neighborhood, they don't have condition to recover by themselves when they have some physical problem, because they already have the problem of the poverty. Category 2, the neighborhood located in this category, they show that they have many people with multidimensional poverty, and the natural hazard can aggravate the vulnerability of this population. And by the end, the category 4 and 5, we have some of multidimensional poverty, but it's not crucial. And also the problem about the landslide also is not crucial, but it means that if this condition, if they have a natural hazard for a long time, they can become vulnerable. But the situation in this kind of neighborhood is not aggravated if you compare it to the other one. Now I will show you another combination that was done using the map of the access to the service combined with multidimensional poverty and landslide. And we can see here the result of this map and the areas that was combined to result this. And by the end, the categories that was result using these 3 combinations. So we have 2 kind of results. The first one that we use poverty with landslide, because the poverty is already very combined indicator, and the other one that we join poverty, access to service, and landslide. And the results show that many of them, the neighborhoods located in the center of the Pemba, they are in category 2. So it means that they have a big problem also. So what does it mean? Does it mean that the neighborhood located in the south part of Pemba, they are more vulnerable if we compare it to the other one that is located in the north of Pemba? So we have there 3 neighborhoods, Ingonani, Natiti, Cimento, that has low multidimensional poverty and landslide problem. So what to do now? So it means that this data was generated using secondary data in the office. So it's necessary to go to the field and to evaluate and compare with the situation, with the reality. But now we can have the idea about the situation of the neighborhood, and the government can also have the tools to know where exactly they can do the intervention and what type of intervention they can do in this kind of area. So this is the bibliography that was used. And thank you very much for your attention, and I'm here for the question. Thank you.
Okay, that's good. Thank you so much for this presentation. I think it's a very interesting, very insightful research. And now, I think we move to the third presentation, Professor Bensky from the Polish Academy of Sciences in Poland. Title is Small Towns Aging in Search of the Link Between Population Process. Professor Bensky, please.
Yes, I will share my screen. Do you see my presentation?
Yes, good, wonderful.
Okay, so I will start. Wait, please. Okay, at the beginning, I would like to express some opinion because I am not pre-recorded. I don't accept this because we are numbers, we are huge indexes, all seat numbers, we are anonymous people, so we lost the spirit of the conference. And I dream about meeting face to face with my colleagues because at now we have a real problem. So the proposal of my report is to determine the changes in the relation between the natural increase and the net migration balance in small towns in the last century, and to assess the influence of those elements of the population dynamics of the contemporary population aging process. So the questions are, what were the changes in the relation between natural increase and the net migration balance in small towns of Poland in the years 2008, 2017. Why those period? Because availability of comparable statistical database and also the period of full membership of my country in European Union. So the second question was, what was the spatial differentiation of the rate of population aging in small towns of Poland in this period? And the third one is, what was the influence of the analyzed elements of demographic dynamics on the rate of population aging in small towns in Poland? So what does it mean small town? In Europe, most scientists say in the literature that there are towns which has less than 20,000 inhabitants. Also in Poland is the definition of small towns, but I would like to stress that in Poland, town is defined as a settlement unit with non-agricultural functions that enjoy town rights. So it doesn't matter how many inhabitants are in the town, but this town should have town rights. So, for example, the smallest town in Poland had only 500 inhabitants, but the largest village had more than 20,000 inhabitants. So it's very funny. You can see on this picture the distribution of small towns in my country, and I can let's say assume that it's very proportional distribution across all the country. And of course, the number of the smallest towns below 10,000 inhabitants after Second World War, we observed the small decrease in the number of these towns because economical crisis. But after 1990, after let's say the collapse of socialist bloc, we observe small increase in the smallest number of small towns. And of course, if we take into account the structure of towns in Poland, the huge number are the towns which are below 5,000, but together with other small towns, they are together 670 elements. And let's go to the method of investigation. So in order to determine the relation between the natural increase and the net migration balance in the towns considered, the 8 demographic types were distinguished. And I cite them by capital letters from A to H. So the first 4 symbols, A, B, C, D, represent the units which are, we can say, developing types. If we take to account the other 4 types of town, I can assume that they are regressive towns where the population decrease. And another elements compared with the aging, the rate of aging of the population in small towns have been determined with the help of demographic old age indicators. So I took to account the difference between the young and old population below 18 and 65 plus. And on the basis of this index, I distinguish 4 types of towns. The group first represent towns with the increase of young population, and the rest 3 groups, A1, A2, and A3, represent the towns with the problem of aging, but the biggest problem which we observe is the group A with a very high rate of aging of inhabitants. So the structure of urban settlement network in Poland in this period 8-17 represent this table, and you see that there was a small increase of the towns below 20,000, but the share of population was very similar. And let's now compare these two years, 2008 and 2017, and distribution of the demographic types of small towns in Poland. In 2008, you can see that a relatively large number of towns with the positive elements. I mean the progress of the population. But if we jump to 2070, you can see the largest number of towns with the regressive types, with the problem of decrease of the population. And the changes in demographic types of small towns in the period present this table. So you can see that there are relatively small number of progressive types and relatively large number of regressive types of towns. Together, if we take to account, we have a progressive small towns no more than 130, and most of them more than 500 the towns with regressive processes. And the distribution of the small towns according to the rates of aging of inhabitants is very interesting because let's say the types with the increase of young people, those type is located just around the large town. It's the Warsaw capital of Poland and also Krakow and Silesia region. Relatively good situation is also in the south part of Poland. These towns represent the green color with a very small decrease, increase of the aging in those towns. But the largest problem are observed in the towns which are colored in the brown. They are located mostly in peripheral areas in Poland and very close to, let's say, the borderline between the regions. So the conclusions are like, in the period between 2008 to 2017, the share of small towns classified in the regressive demographic types increased from 65% to more than 80%. In this period, the natural increase lost in significance as the element shaping the magnitude of the population potential and the settlement unit considered. So the primary factor at now determining the population potential change was the migration. The process of population aging took place in this period in almost all of the towns in Poland. It was just only 10 towns that the age structure of resident population got younger. The rest, more than 600 towns, aging of population was processed various rate. The results of this study confirmed the process of aging of the population in small towns in Poland became increasingly intensive. And I can conclude that we observe in Poland concentration of the people in the large town. From small towns, people migrate, and there are real problem of the aging. If you want to find more information about this problem, I suggest to look to the new book, which will publish in the next month by Routledge, the Routledge Handbook of Small Towns, which I edited. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Professor Bensky. Now, we have finished all three presentations. Professor Philippe, Régnier,
Yes.
Do you have any comments or questions?
I have a question on the second one and two questions on the Polish presentation. Is Alice with us?
I think so.
Yes, Professor, I'm here.
You are here, good. You talk about natural hazards and especially landslides affecting the specific city you studied. Could you be a bit more specific about natural hazards? Of course, we know that both Mozambique and Bangladesh are among the most natural hazards affected countries worldwide, but locally close to the Indian Ocean, what is the main cause of these landslides?
For the normal, because the location of Mozambique close to the Indian Ocean, we have main time the cyclone, and in this part of Mozambique, this is the more natural hazard that can happen. So this type of slide that I presented in the presentation, the most of them is from the rainfall. So the most factor used was the rainfall. So the rainfall has the cause of this side. That's why we have, but the other factor was not considered because they only did this kind of study, and I just used this data just to see what's happened in the area.
Thank you very much. Professor Barsky or Jingjing, do you have questions or comments?
Oh, I don't have any comments.
Jingjing, any question? We hear a lot about floods in China at the moment. Any question, any comment?
I like the presentation by Professor Bensky very much. He talked about the changes in Polish small towns. I think this is a very common phenomenon in many countries. In East Asia, I know there are very similar phenomena in Japan, in today's China, and in some other countries, especially in the process of industrialization. More people moved to the big cities. And also we make great effort to improve the public services in big cities and attract more and more young people to the big cities. So I think this is a very common and to some extent it's a inevitable, I think, phenomenon. And my question for Professor Bensky is, if we make great effort to improve public services in big cities and attract more people, especially the young people, to move to the big cities, how can we make the people, especially young people, to stay at home in some small towns? This is the first one. And the second, can we imagine some alternative in which we can combine the small towns and build some big cities?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If I know the right answer for these questions, maybe I will have a Nobel Prize. But I tell you that the COVID brings some new processes because we can work at home. And I observe, for example, if my town in Warsaw, that a lot of people are staying at home outside the town, in the village, let's say the peri-urban territory or suburban territories, They are working there, and there is a huge investment now. If we observe the management of the land, the people are interested to build the houses outside the large town, and we observe real increase of the settlement around the large towns. But if we will have a good connection, let's say the electronic connection, but also the good transportation, communication with the small towns, maybe they will, I think the people can stay in the small towns, because I observe that the young people are migrate to the large town, but the old people want to go out from a large town and want to stay in the, let's say, better landscape, better environmental condition, and so on, so on. So if we create good connection with the large town, maybe the people will stay outside, because let's say the environmental situation and the pollution, and it's huge problem. It's not only the service for large number of people, but also the environmental problems. So this is the open question, but I hope that that people will be more smart and will stay in small towns. But at now the process is opposite. That's all.
I had a similar question you answered partly. You mentioned several times that these small town demographic changes are linked to migrations.
Yeah, most
but
bigger than natural increase.
So in your answer right now, you seems to indicate different types of migrations.
Mm-hmm.
Can you elaborate a little bit? For instance, I find your argument that retiring people are moving out for various reasons. Where do they move? Do they move to more touristic places, to places where the climate is better, where, of course, urban problems are less acute? What are these different types of migrations you observe?
Yeah, no, I can say that the young people from, let's say, outside the large towns are coming to the work, to find a job, or to the schools, high schools, and so on. And older people are going outside mostly for the recreation. The COVID closed the countries, for 2 years. And I give you some example. I have a second house around 70 kilometers from Warsaw, and there was each year that I observe 2-3 new investors which are create new second house buildings. This year, in the same place, are more than 50 investors. The people bought the land and create the building, which are they can use for all years, winter and summertime, and they stay there for all the year. So to this house coming the children, grandchildren, and so on. So the old people are going for the recreation and to spend the better time outside the large town. You know why? I'm going in the next hour to my second house with my wife.
Do you have also aging people, retiring people? I know, for instance, in Germany, people from the north, they move to southwest Baden-Württemberg because climate, living conditions are better for aging people. Is there a similar phenomena in Poland?
No, I don't observe these processes. there are few, let's say, the very attractive territories like Masurian Lakeland or the some part which are forested. So these areas are very attractive, but I don't observe the huge moving between the east-west or north-south. As I said, in the south part of Poland, there are relatively good situation. The towns are younger and there are more younger people, and migration is not so high, but the higher is natural increase. The people are very religious and they are not using new technology. If we know how to I don't know how to say in English, but if the priest say you should be married, you should create a new family and so on, they will do this. And this, they are very religious, and the type of life, direction of life is very typical. In the central Poland or Western, people are more modern. So, and in this part of Poland, I observe aging of population.
We have a few participants. Do we have questions from or comments from some of the participants?
Hi guys, thank you all for your presentations. I was going to make a similar comment about small towns in my country of Ireland. During the COVID, around the Midlands, they all were quite revitalized for the first time in a long time. But then they found that urban services were very pressurized by this influx of young populations. But municipalities were reluctant to invest in urban services because they're quite unsure of how things would lie after COVID. Would this be a permanent new work environment or not? So I was wondering if you could comment on that. Was it similar ideas in Poland, or how you can work with municipalities in that kind of way to try and make investments to revitalize these towns?
Yeah, I can say that if we compare the, let's say the basic services in the large town and the small towns are very similar at now, because the government spent a lot of money for new investment, for new services, and so the schools, the hospitals, and the other, let's say, the basic service are in the relatively similar level. But of course, if we are talking about the higher services and culture, theater, and so on, maybe, but I don't think that it's the most important element which decide in the younger brain to migrate. But they are mostly going to university, to high schools, and if they finish, they are looking for the job, and the best one is located in the large town, not in the small towns. That's why most of younger people are not migrate back to the small towns.
Cool. Thank you.
Other questions or comments? We still have about 10 minutes. I have one question comment for Alice, Mozambique. You seem to show in your data analysis that in the urban areas where a lot of poor people are concentrated, it still remains the same over time, despite not only the poverty, of course, but despite natural disasters coming again and again. And we know that Mozambique is terribly affected by cyclones and other natural hazards. I am wondering why. We did some work in Bangladesh, and Bangladesh has similar natural hazards conditions. And we came up that in very backward regions, poor people have a tremendous resilience capacity. In other words, after natural disasters, the informal economy, whatever it means, is able to restart within weeks what sometimes the formal economy would not be able to provide. So I was wondering, have you started to identify why these poor settlements remain in the same locations, despite the fact that these areas are the most affected areas by these cyclones and landslides?
Okay, thanks for the question, Professor. I'm just thinking about the general Mozambique, how this question can be seen. And what we see in the field is that the people like to live in this area despite this big natural hazard, big problem, because they are close to the big city. For example, we have in the many areas of the Pemba city, they have some neighborhoods that, of course, they can live there and they can have low problem. But the problem is that this place is so far from the main service, like hospital, like school, like bank service. So what do people prefer? If they have these natural hazards, they have this capacity to rebuild. Of course, that is weak, but they can use informal settlement, informal business, but they still live there because they have service close to them. Because if they move to the other part of the city, like so far, even if the government give them best area for there to live, but how they will go to the school, how they will go to the hospital, because this kind of service still concentrated in same area. So it means that we will have the same problem in same area, because some of the institution, can I say that policy should be done to make sure that when the people move out to the big city, they can have access to the other service. But if they don't have the advantage of this, of course, that they will stay in the same place, they will suffer until no when. But we have the same situation in the city, that is the capital of Mozambique, that they have some vulnerable area. And when it's rain, the people suffer and they don't have good house, good condition. But after the rain, they still beg to live in the same place. So we just ask ourselves why these people like to be there and suffer in this place. But the problem for them is not to suffer, but is like to be close to the other service. So if this service is not located out of the big city, I can say that it's not in rural area, but suburban area that they have the same access. So they remain in the same place. That's why this study that was done by Pemba can show some of the government where they can increase some of other policies or some of other service to make sure that the people cannot live, cannot give pressure of the resource, and of course for their life also.
Thank you so much. We still have a few minutes left. Jingjing, have you other comments or other participants?
So, okay, so I have one question for Mr. Ellis from Mozambique. In your presentation, you discussed the vulnerability in some neighborhoods, and you say you try to identify the level of different vulnerability in different neighborhoods. So I want to discuss the implications of your research for different actors. For example, for the local governments and for the local residents. If you can measure and identify the different level of the vulnerability in different neighborhoods, that means in some areas there may be more and good services and in some other areas and neighborhoods, they are not. So I think your research maybe will send the totally different message to the local government and the local residents. That means your research will encourage the local governments to invest more money in the poor area and try to provide better public services. And on the other hand, your research will encourage local residents to move out of the poor areas and try to immigrants to the most least vulnerable areas. So I don't know the specific situations in the Pembrose cities. Could you give us more information about that?
Of course, Professor, thank you. This that I can say is that the main objective of this study was to give the government the tools that they can use to change the things in the place. It's not most for the population, but is most for the government, because what we see is that in some time they have investment that should be done in the paper seed, for example. But where this kind of investment should be used very good. So with this kind of tools, when they know that, okay, we have like 12 rules in paper seed, and we have this analyze about the vulnerability, so they can see which kind of intervention should be done in each area to make sure that they don't make the pressure of the service or don't make the people who live in this area more vulnerable. That can I say. So for the population side, what will be done, this is the second part of the project also, will be like call the population and sit with them and identify together with the population that, okay, this study was done, was desktop study. So with you now, let's sit and understand what is really big problem that you have here and what kind of solution do you propose? So this is the objective of project. So the government can have the tools and also the population can give the solution for how they can survive in entire of this process. Of course, that if the people know that they have some neighborhood that have a better condition for them, is better to move to there. But the question is that, so will you have a condition to be in this place, like house, like service, because some of them want to move to the better neighborhood, but this not dependent of them only because they have another factor. So this study can use for both of parts. What you propose like solution and what the government should be done, like in medium term or long term, to make sure that the resource that they have, the investment that they have can be equal distributed in the place.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor.
I think we should probably get to a close by now, Dingping. What do you think?
Well, I think it's good. I indeed learn a lot. So, so I'm not the expert on the urbanization. So I try to read the different information and listen to the presentation and really learn a lot. So especially in the cases of the Burkina Faso, Mozambique, and Poland. So all of which I really know neither about the urbanization over there.
Great. So thank you to all the contributors, including the one from UN Habitat in Ouagadougou. We extend our greetings to him as well. And despite we are through distance, I invite all of us to remain in contact until the next ICCCASU conference. Thank
Yes,
you.
yes.
Thank you very much to everyone.
See you.
Thank you.
See you.
See you. Hopefully,
Bye.
we will meet in Africa countries next time.
We look for it.
Hope
Yeah.
so.
Yes. Yes, good.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We get to Mozambique, but
Thank
without
you.
a cyclone.
Yes, so Mozambique or Burkina Faso.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, see you later.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You are okay, Jingjing?